The chamber is back in session, and before the lunch break, Council Victor Cope said that he had no more questions. So whether you had no more questions or what?
I did say that, but as a matter of fact, because we have a little bit extra time, I have 5 more minutes of questions. Mr. Witness, before the break, I asked you about your involvement in Kun Kim's army and the 2 battles that you described. What is it that you can recall about those battles? Were there any civilian casualties? Were there casualties on the other side? Did you engage in shooting the enemy yourself? What is it that you can remember?
Yes, I can still recall. There were no civilian involved. There were only soldiers to soldiers engaging in the fighting.
And how big were the respective armies that were fighting each other?
It was a small scale fighting involving the about 50 to 100 men. When the Khmer soldier came to gather up people, so we fought back to prevent them from gathering up people.
And that those battles, that fighting, was that when you were in Kun Kim's army? And if yes, was he commanding?
Yes, he was the commander of the big troop, and he commanded the fighting in Kampong Cham province.
And was he, together with your forces, involved in the sinking of boats that you just referred to earlier this morning? Is that correct?
It was not his troops who sank the boats. It was the troops stationed along the roads. Pol Pot sent the boats to Kampong Cham, and the information about the boats were received because we knew that this boat were sent by Pol Pot with the purpose of evacuating the people, transporting the people to be killed.
And you and your fellow combatants were involved in the sinking and shooting of those military boats, correct?
The military engine boats were used to transport people to be taken away to be killed, and our force sank the boat. We had a group of men who were responsible for sinking the boats to prevent them from taking people away to be killed.
And these fellow combatants, who were they? Were they men of Kun Kim's army, or were they former mobile brigade members? Who was that unit? Who was that military unit that shot those boats? that sank those boats?
It was the men from the mobile brigade. There were no any big army involved in that because the big army were involved in fighting at the provincial level. As for fighting at the base or local levels, it was men from the mobile brigade who formed the resistance force against the Khmer Rouge. There was one group of force belonged to His Excellency Siet Suchit, and he had about 20 or 30 men under his command.
And that mobile brigade is the same mobile brigade that you refer to in your WRI, those 300 men consisting of both Khmer and Cham, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It was the men from the mobile brigade.
My last question, how did you and your fellow mobile brigade members, how were you able to do this? Did you receive some kind of military training that enabled you to sink those military boats?
There was no training, but because we bore so much hardship and suffering, that's why we resisted. And when we had guns, we used the guns to resist. So as I said, we received no training.
And you used those 15 rifles to shoot down those, to sink those military boats, those 15 rifles that you refer to in your WRI, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this additional time.
President, thank you. Now the floor is given to the defense team for Mr. Khieu Samphan to put questions to the witness.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, witness. My name is Anta Gise, and I'm International Co-Counsel for Mr. Khieu Samphan. I'll put a few complementary questions to you. My first question has to do with the year 1975, during which you stated that the Khmer Rouge arrived in your region. In answer to a question put to you by my colleague of the civil parties, I believe you stated that there was a meeting regarding the prohibition of religious practices. I put this question to you because in your 2008 statement, document E3/5209, you stated, and the ERN in French is 00293937, ERN in Khmer 00218537, and ERN in English 00242067. You stated that there was no meeting on political statements, but we were told that the practices of Islam were, I believe, end of quote, free translation. My first question, therefore, is whether there was any meeting held to discuss religious practices.
The meeting was not was not only about the prohibition of religious practice of Islam, but also the prohibition of the practices of other religions, including Buddhism.
Donc, si je comprends bien,
So if I understand you correctly, when you stated that there was no meeting in the statement I've just quoted, did you mean that there were no specific meetings to discuss Islam, but it was a general meeting, a general information meeting to discuss general religious practices? Is that what I should understand from your testimony?
There was no there was a meeting, and the content of the meeting was later on spread to the localities.
avez-vous participé personnellement?
Did you personally attend that meeting?
Yes, I attended the meeting. All the youths were called to attend the meeting. Women were instructed to cut their hair short. I mean the Cham women, and they were prohibited from wearing the head scarf.
Et nous sommes d'accord que
And we agree that those meetings were sometimes attended by both Cham and Khmer. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. The participants were both Khmers and Chams. Even the Khmer women were also instructed to cut their hair short.
Répondant à une question,
In answer to a question put to you by the co-prosecutor this morning regarding the number of inhabitants of your village, I understood that by your reckoning there were 2,000 inhabitants of that village. However, I would like you to clarify this point, because I didn't understand whether the 10,000 people you referred to included both the Cham and the Khmer, because I understood from your testimony this morning that you did say that half of the population of your village was Cham and half was Khmer in 1975. So may I know whether the 10,000 people you referred to is the entire population, that is Cham and Khmer inclusive?
No, it doesn't mean that the total number of Khmer and Cham together is 10,000. I talk about 3 villages, and in one village, that was Chumnis village, it had more than 10,000 people.
et
And the 10,000 people sometimes include Cham and Khmer in that village you refer to as Chumnit.
The 10,000 people were Cham, not Khmer. Here I refer to only the number of the Cham people, not the Khmer people. It's based on my estimate.
Et précisément,
And to be specific, how did you come by those estimates? How did you get that particular figure?
I based my estimate on the counting of families.
vous avez répondu ce matin
This morning, you stated that we are talking of 10,000 persons. Can you tell us how many families would enable you to come by that estimate, if you do remember?
The 10,000 people equal to probably 1,000 families. And there was more than 1,000 families in Chumnek village.
Est-ce que vous avez
Did you have any particular positions in Chumnik village? Chumnik village.
No, I did not hold any position.
Est-ce que vous
Do you have any particular knowledge of the number of families? Because someone told you about that, or you are relying solely on what you can remember?
The village chief told me.
et qui était le chef de
And who was that village chief? And when did he tell you that?
His name is Matim.
et à quel moment vous a-t-il parlé du
And when did he tell you of the number of families in that village?
He told me in 1977.
Et ma team était Cham.
And it was Maktim Cham.
Yes, he was ethnic Cham.
Est-ce que vous savez s'il est resté chef de village jusqu'en
Do you know whether he remained village chief up to 1979?
He stopped working as a village chief for a while, and then later on, after the liberation in 1979, he became the village chief again.
savez-vous quand il a cessé ses fonctions?
Do you know when he stopped being village chief? Because you said that in 1979 he was still chief. When did his functions change?
He stopped in 1978 after the Pol Pot evacuated people away, and then he stopped from working as village chief.
Savez-vous qui l'a remplacé?
Do you know who replaced him?
There were no person assigned to replace him because people fled into the forest.
Donc si je comprends bien,
So if I understand correctly, he remained village chief up until the time when you fled. You yourself fled. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
je voudrais en venir maintenant
I would like us to talk about your work in the mobile unit referred to this morning. In answer to a question put to you by the co-prosecutor, you said you were initially assigned to herd cattle and that you were subsequently assigned to build dams with other members of the population. That is while you were in the mobile unit. Do you remember when you started working in the mobile unit?
I began my work at the mobile unit from 1977-1978.
vous avez indiqué ce matin
This morning, you also stated that your mobile unit consisted of Cham and Khmer. Do you remember how many members there were in your entire mobile unit?
I do not know the exact number, but it was in the hundreds and thousands. I did not know about the specific figure because I was not the one in charge of that unit. So I simply follow the instruction when I was in the unit. If they order me to carry water, I carried water.
dans le cadre de votre
When you were interviewed by the co-investigating judges, document E3/5209, ERN in French 00293937, ERN in Khmer 00218537, ERN in English 00242068, you state that at a point in time, a cadre asked you to monitor the Commerce Office. Can you tell us which cadre that was and when you were assigned to do such monitoring?
It was the commune cadres who assigned me to guard. And it was in 1977.
et vous montiez la garde
When you stood guard, were you armed?
No, I did not carry any weapons. I was there, I slept and guard, so I possessed no weapon. It was like herding the cattle, so I had no guns.
vous avez indiqué
You stated that at a point in time, we are talking about the situation in 1978. That is when a meeting was held, and you said you accompanied a commune official to that meeting. So in 1978. You said this morning that in that year you accompanied the commune chief to a meeting held in the central zone. Do you agree with me that it was indeed a commune chief that you accompanied to that meeting?
Yes, it was the commune chief who assigned me to guard the commerce office. I refer to the new commune chief. He came after the old commune chief were purged. So he came to organize things.
Est-ce qu'il s'agit du chef?
Is that commune chief Hong? For the interpreters, it is spelled as H-U-N. Was it Hong?
Owen was the deputy commune chief. For the commune chief, his name was Hun. Owen was his deputy.
Et j'ai compris de votre déposition.
And I understood from your testimony this morning that it was indeed Hun, the commune chief. You accompanied on a motorcycle to the venue of the meeting in the central zone. Did I properly understand your testimony?
Yes, that is correct. He asked me to accompany him to the meeting.
Et si j'ai bien compris,
And if I understood you correctly, you stated that on that day the district chief was also present and that he was accompanied by his messenger and that he also came to that venue on a motorbike. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
je vous pose ces questions de précision.
I am putting these questions to you for purposes of clarification, witness, because as you stated a while ago, as Judge Avan said, a number of things were written in a book by Mr. Isa Osman, and it appears that there are some errors in that book, and I'll read out to you what is stated in Isa Osman's book, document E3/932, and the ERN in French is 00286-658, ERN in Khmer 00275387, and the ERN in English 00218542.
Et voilà ce qui est mentionné.
And this is what is stated regarding you. It is stated as follows, free translation. He said that in late 1978, he drove a motorbike for the district secretary who did not know how to ride a motorcycle to a meeting in Sandan district of Kampong Thom. End of quotes. In light of what you have just confirmed to me, do you agree that it was not the district secretary you accompanied on a motorbike, but indeed the commune chief, whose name was Un? Do you confirm your testimony then, and thereby do you also confirm that there's an error in the passage I've just read out to you?
The commune chief and the district chief, they travel together. At first, I was assigned to drive the motorbike for the district chief, but because the commune chief was not able to drive the motorbike, so I drove the motorbike for him. And for the district chief, he had his messenger to drive the motorbike for him.
I believe that there might be an interpretation issue because what I heard.
Effectivement, je pense que...
Indeed, I believe that there's a real problem with interpretation, so I'm going to ask you, witness, I apologize, but I'm going to ask you please to repeat, because in French I heard that you said that you were assigned to the district secretary. So can you confirm that it was the commune chief that you brought that day on your motorcycle and not the district secretary?
I made mention about the commune chief and the secretary of the district. They were in the same journey at the time.
This I understood, but we agree that the motorcycle you drove was the commune chief's motorcycle. Am I correct?
In fact, it did not belong to the commune chief. It belonged to the commerce instead. But the commune chief asked the permission to borrow that motorbike so that he could ride on to the meeting.
Thank you for these details, but my question is, can you confirm that you rode the motorcycle that transported the commune chief? That is what I'm asking you to specify.
Answer. Before that journey, he asked the mobile brigade whether there was a comrade who could ride the motorbike, and chief of the mobile brigade said that I was able to drive the motorbike. In fact, we were on a boat, and when we arrived at Steng Trong, we got out of the boat and we continued our trip to Kampong Thom by our motorbike.
Donc, je conclus de votre...
So I must understand from your answer that you drove the commune chief on your motorcycle and that the district secretary rode another motorbike with one of his messengers. Is that what I must understand? Is that what happens?
The district chief had the security guard or messenger with him at the time. He went with the district chief. I mean, the messenger went with the district chief.
Do you remember the name of the district chief back then?
Answer: no, I do not recall his name. He was there in the district for a while, and at the time he was riding a different motorbike from mine. So I did not dare to ask him about how long he had been a district chief.
In the excerpt that I just read out to you from Isa Usman's book, mention is made, or it is stated that this trip took place at the end of 1978. So does this jog your memory, or do you still stand by the fact that you don't remember when this happened in 1978?
Answer: that is correct, in late 1978.
We heard a certain number of witnesses before this chamber who spoke about about the revolutionary alias Ho, H-O, and they said that Ho was the nickname used by the district chief back then. So does this refresh your memory, or does this not mean anything to you?
Answer: it does not refresh my memory. I have never heard of the name. I do not know the name of the district chief.
Est-ce que le
Does the name Pong, P-H-A-U-N-G, mean anything to you?
Answer: no, I do not know the person by the name Pong.
est-ce que
Without remembering his name, but do you still remember what happened to this district chief?
Answer: he came to gather up the mobile forces, the commune chief, secretary of the district, and 2 other military had been killed. So the members of the mobile brigade were accused of being bandits. These people were shot dead, and there was a person by the name Own at the time as well, and he perhaps died already.
I didn't understand from your answer if you believe that the district chief, whom you said was present in the central zone, if you still believe that he is alive, or if you believe that he passed away.
est-ce que vous pouvez préciser ce point?
Can you specify that?
Answer: he passed away in 1978. So when he came to gather the members of mobile brigade, and that at that time there was an exchange of fire, and during the event he was killed. He came to that commune to ask others to bring a villager onto the boat, and at that time there was an exchange of fire.
Et vous êtes sûr?
And witness, you are sure that it is the district chief who died during this exchange of gunfire?
Answer, I am sure. He died. And at that time, there was no leader of the district. The top leader of Krochma was the one who responsible for ordering to bring people to be killed. So after that leader was killed, then they had no more forces to gather up people.
J'ai commis une
I made a mistake by mentioning an alias that was used by the district chief back then. It wasn't Pong, but at the hearing of 6 October 2015, a little bit, well, between 11:19 and 11:21 in the morning, so named Bansik said that he held the position of district chief during a certain period of time at Krochma, and he said that the name he used back then was Pang. Hung, corrects interpreter, Hang. So does that refresh your memory?
It does not refresh my memory. I have never heard of that name.
et vous êtes également sûr
And you're also sure that you never heard the alias Ho, H-O.
I am sure I have never heard of that name.
et
And because this is also an alias that was discussed by the same witness, so what about the nickname Po? P-H-O-S. Does that ring a bell?
Answer, I do not know that person by the name Pwa.
je voudrais maintenant
Now, I would like to get back to the meeting that you say occurred at the end of 1978 and to which you said you brought the commune chief. And do we agree, because I understood from your testimony, and please correct me if I'm wrong, so do we agree that you did not go inside the room where the meeting took place and that you only were outside?
Answer, I did not enter into the room. It was not my responsibility to go there and listen to the discussion of the meeting. I was assigned to accompany the commune chief to go, so I was required to stay outside.
est-ce que
Did you see the people inside the room at any point in time?
No, I did not see anyone. I heard only the meeting, the discussion of the meeting over the loudspeaker at outside.
là encore
Here again, witness, I'm putting this question to you because in the same excerpt of Isa Osman's book, which I quoted earlier on, that is say document E3/9323 at the same ERNs, this is what is said regarding you. He stated that while he was waiting, he could see the district secretaries from the east and central zones in the meeting room, end of quote, free translation. So, do you confirm that there is an error in this document? That is to say that you never saw the district secretaries inside the room where the meeting took place.
So I am confused with your question. Could you repeat it? My apology. Could you repeat your question?
No problem. Earlier, I asked you if you had seen inside the room where the meeting took place the people who were there, and you said no. You said that you only heard them speak. And therefore, I then read an excerpt to you from Isa Osman's book, in which, contrary to what you just said, it is said that you could see the people inside the room. So my question is, do you confirm that there is a mistake in this document, as there was a mistake regarding the person whom you brought to the meeting with your motorcycle? And can you confirm that you never saw the people inside the room where the meeting took place?
Answer. In fact, the secretary was in the same trip because we were to go to the meeting. So you want me to ask about the people in the meeting room, whether or not I saw them? I do not know how many participants in that meeting. I did not bother looking into the room.
Donc, pour que ce soit bien clair,
So, in order for everything to be clear, we agree that you didn't see anyone inside that room, and that you did not look into that room.
Answer. I do not know how many participants in the meeting. All I know is that secretaries were there together with the commune chief, attended the meeting.
Can you please answer my question clearly? Aside from the person you accompanied, or from people you saw, that is to say, the commune chief and the district secretary, did you see with your own eyes other people?
Answer. After they left the room, I saw those people, but I at the time did not know who they were. There were many of them walking out of the room, and I at the time did not know what position or ranks they held, so that they were allowed to be in the meeting.
Donc nous sommes d'accord que
So we agree that aside from the commune chief and from the district secretary, you knew no one else who went to that meeting.
Yes, I agree with that statement.
And you said that you heard a son named Pok speak or use a loudspeaker. And did you see him at any point in time?
Answer: no, I did not see him.
À propos,
Now, regarding POC in particular, I would like to revisit a document that was presented by my colleague from the Nunchia team, and this is an audio transcript of your interview in 2008. And I believe I understood this morning that in your eyes, or according to you, you heard about Pol Pot and Cape Pok, and apparently this morning you told me that this was the same person. Am I correct?
Answer: yes, that is what I said. Villagers refer him by using the two names, Pol Pot or Kao Pok. And I do not know whether one of his name was the new one given to him.
In document in this, therefore, this audio transcript E3/5209.1, you say the following, and the interpreter, in fact, puts to you the following question. So you say that you heard people speak about Cape Pok very clearly during this meeting, and your answer was the following: no, it was rather Pol Pot, who was one of Pol Pot's relatives, and not Cape Pok. And you specify that Pok and Pot were two different people. And someone then asks you the question, Pok? And you answer, yes, they were brothers. End of quote, free translation. So, I understand from this excerpt from your audio recording that you make a difference between Pol Pot and Cape Pok. So can you tell the chamber why in 2008 you said that Pol Pot was Pol Pot's brother and that that person was not Cape Pok?
Answer: in fact, Pol Pot and Pol Pot were siblings or were related, and people from the central zone said that Pol Pot and Pol Pot was the same person.
donc ça c'est ce que vous nous dites.
This is what you're telling us today, but in this excerpt from the audio transcript, you tell us that this is not the same person. So, what is the information that you gathered, and when? And are you giving us today? Are you telling us today a different story?
Answer: could you repeat your question, please? I do not really get the gist of it.
According to the excerpt that I just read out from your statements in 2008, you make a clear difference between Cape Pok and Pol Pot. And today you tell us that you heard some villagers say that this, in fact, was the same person. So my question is, why in 2008 did you say that Cape Pok and Pol Pot were two different people?
answer. You may have confused my answer. I said Pol Pot and Pol Pot were two different people. One was the elder brother and the other one was the younger brother. I did not say that they were the same persons. I did not know whether the author of the document confused my statement. I do not know their faces clearly. I heard people said that the central zone chief was that person and who was actively involved in the killings of people.
Today, when you were answering a question that was put to you by Judge Lavergne, you confirmed.
President, please wait. He needs to visit the bathroom, the restroom rather. President, you may resume your questioning. Counsel for Mr. Kilsampon.
Merci.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I was putting my last questions to you, witness, and saying that today, in answer to a question put to you by Judge Lavergne, you talked about purges in the East Zone, and you stated that those purges were carried out against Khmer and Cham invariably, and they were referred to as the enemy. And in statement E3/837, date 2011, ERN in French 007275797, ERN in Khmer 00716487, and ERN in English 00722 This is what you stated in the document. Free translation. Reference was made to all the enemies in general, regardless of whether they were Cham, Khmer, or Chinese. And you also stated that anyone accused of being traitors without any distinction as to race had to be smashed. End of quote, free translation. My question to you, witness, is whether you told Mr. Isa Osman that when he interviewed you, that is, that everyone was smashed regardless of their origins, whether they were Khmer, Cham, or Chinese.
Answer. I do not recall what my answer is at the time. They did not spare any people's lives at the time. If they betray the Angka, they would be killed, no matter they were Cham or Khmer. So those who betray Angka, particularly those from the East Zone, were killed.
Je n'ai pas d'autres questions, Monsieur le Président.
I have no further questions for the witness, Mr. President. My colleague Kom Sangon has 4 minutes of questions to put to the witness to wrap up today's examination of witness.
Kong Samon.
President, you can now proceed. Counsel Kong Samon.
បាទសូមអរគុណ
Kong Samon. Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. I want clarification from you. You said that you work in a mobile brigade in 1977. Did you ever work in the mobile brigade before 1977, or did you work in the mobile unit from 1975 to 1977?
បាទបានធ្វើតាំងពី
Answer. I was part of the mobile brigade from 1975. The working condition at the beginning were lenient, and then it became harsher from time to time. The condition within mobile brigade in 1975 was not so harsh compared to that in 1977. Question. So who was the chief of that mobile brigade from 1975 onwards? Answer. Toy and Soy. One was the deputy, and another one was the chief of mobile brigade. What kind of power did they have? Answer. He had the authorities to assign all of us to do whatever they wanted. For those who refused to work, he had the authority to send the reports to the commune chief. Counsel, thank you. You stated that in 1978 you got out of the boat in order to make an escape when the Khmer Rouge wanted to tie you up. And at the time you said you met two chief of mobile brigades. Were those who you met at the time were the mobile brigades that you used to work under? Answer. Later on, I met Soy and Toy. Question. What kind of relation did you have with those two people? Answer. We were friends, and we discussed about the plans of Khmer Rouge as well at the time, And also we discussed the issue that people were to be killed. Question. Did you feel afraid at the time when you discussed the issue with them, since you did not have the power to report that to him? Answer. I did not. I was not afraid of him, since we were friends. And we also joined the forces together when we ran into the forest to find other forces to liberate the country. Question. So why? Why did he believe you at the time? Answer. He or they believed me at the time because I accompanied the commune chief to a meeting, and after that meeting I discussed the issue with him or with them. Question regarding the resistance in the East. Can you tell the court when the resistance between the East Zone soldiers and the Central Zone soldiers happened? Answer. It happened in 1977. Lawyer. Thank you. Did you see or did you personally know about the fightings in any battlefields in 1977 and onwards? Answer. I used to see the battlefields, but I myself was not engaged actively in the battlefields. I saw the exchange of gunfire and also the shooting, and houses were burned because of the result of the shooting and guns exchange. At the time, the battlefields happened in Kroches and Kampong Jam. Lawyer. Did you happen to see the fightings quite often? Answer. I saw only one time fighting. At the time, the East Zone soldiers threw away weapons and ran away. Lawyer. Thank you. Could you tell the court about the timing when you jumped into the river to flee? At the beginning, you stated that it was in 1978. So, what about the month? What month was it? Answer. Perhaps it was in September, during the time that the water was rising. The river water was rising. Question. And from that time onwards, did fightings happen very often? Answer. There were fightings on several locations, but they were small scales of fightings after September. So it was the sporadic fighting, and the mobile brigades at the time was trying to mobile the villagers into the forest. Sometime the mobile brigades went to surround the headquarters of the Khmer Rouge soldiers. So there were not many members of brigades, a mobile brigade at that time. Around 30 or 40 of them could do that kind of work. President, thank you, Mr. Wanmat. It is now time for the adjournment. The hearing of your testimony has now come to an end. You may be excused. You may return to your residence or to any places you wish to go. I wish you good health, good luck, and prosperity in your life. Court officers, please work with a vessel to send Mr. Wanmat to his residence or to any location he wishes to go. It is now time for the adjournment. The hearing will resume tomorrow on 10 March 2016. Tomorrow, the Chamber will hear 2 TCW 921 in relation to the Phnom Krao Security Center, please be informed and be on time. Security personnel are instructed to bring Mr. Kirtapon and Nguyen Chia back to ECCC's detention facility and have them returned into the courtroom tomorrow before 9 a.m. The court is now adjourned.